Hello race fans, sim fans, RC fans, Racing 393. Look at that for a picture. As you can guess, some historic F1 footage coming up now. The year is 1992. This particular car is driven by Riccardo Patrese. His teammate was one of my favourite drivers of all time at the time there, and that was Nigel Mansell. The reason you might be thinking, why haven't I got a Nigel Mansell picture? There's no real reason other than I do like to sort of showcase other drivers. If everyone saw this car that's into motorsport, and they'd probably think of Mansell as their first choice of driver, unless you're Italian, and then you'd be Riccardo Patrese. But this is Riccardo Patrese, at the time a good driver, one of those nearly men, on the podium a few times, some race wins. I don't know, I can't remember if he was excuse me, I don't know if he was in contention for a world championship. I seem to think he was up there, and may well have led the championship at some point, but he was kind of like if you follow your Formula 1, he's a bit like Gerhard Berger, a nearly man, a sort of good driver, but never quite up in the sort of the front of the field all the time. Had the odd glimpse of skillfulness and driving ability to win a race, but sort of faded off when it really mattered. I don't know the full stats, but anyway, this is an FW14, 1992 Williams Canon Renault. I nearly said Honda. Renault powered. In the day at 92, I think, as far as the rules are concerned, in real life, active ride suspension, I believe, traction control, anti-lock, paddle shift. It was the height of the technology available to F1 at the time, and Williams had everything. So it was competing against cars with passive suspension, springs and dampers, to stick shift from the lower teams. And this car levelled itself out under all conditions. I think there was another. Well, it had paddle shift, active ride, ABS, traction control. Well, was that all in it then? I think it was. And then subsequently after that, I think they started to ban the aids. I think that's the start of it, because it was very, very innovative, and this car had a massive advantage over those that didn't have that technology. Anyway, so we're going to have a look now. This is a ASR Formula, another updated car. I never had this car, funny enough. So they've got so many F1 cars from the 91, 92 season. It's sometimes very difficult to establish exactly which ones I've got. I thought I had this one, but I didn't. So so I bought this one the other day. The typical €4.99 at 468 UK, 550 something US. So we're going to jump in game and see how this bad boy performs. I'm going to go around a track, an 88 version of a track that this car, I believe, I can't remember back that far now, but I believe went round there. So the Adelaide Grand Prix in Australia. This had the well, it wasn't this particular car, obviously, but in 1986 it had the infamous Nigel Mansell tyre blowout at Adelaide when passing Was it Alain Prost or something? But the famous tyre blowout that cost him the World Championship. Oh, it wasn't this FW14. It did look like that. I think that was Honda powered, and they were turbo cars in those days. These are, I want to say, normally aspirated because of the airbox on top. Which means, yeah, I believe. I'll have to double check that. I'm just sort of thinking out loud. Anyway, let's get Assetto Corsa fired up, and we can go from there. Welcome to Adelaide.
That last lap was a 128.4, sector 3 times okay.
In an FW14b, as driven by Nigel Mansell. I don't know if it has got traction control, like naturally. Doesn't feel like it.
Sector 1 is quick.
But feels very old school. Around one of my favourite tracks, Adelaide in Australia. 6-speed.
Sector 2 time is okay.
I mean, it's handling quite well. Sounds good.
Your last lap time was at 125.5. Sector 3 time is fast.
There's a bump there that always catches me out. Sounds, oh, a bit understeer there. Sounds really, really good. Paddle shift. The actual stats say sequential.
2/10 off your best in sector 1.
No, sequential to me would be a stick shift, but up and down. Paddle shift, but obviously what that is. I'm pretty sure it would have had paddle shift anyway.
Sector 2 is 0.7 off your best.
Just getting used to the car at the moment. Just takes a bit of getting used to with the gear shifts, believe it or not. Lovely car to drive though. Straight out the box. Got to watch the bump
time
here.
Was 127.1. You're now 1.6 seconds slower than your best.
I mean, one of my favourite eras anyway, 92, around this track as well. Understeer.
Sector 1 time is good.
Lovely. What do you think? Bit too quick there.
Your tyre temperatures are good.
It does feel a bit sketchy up at pace, I must admit, but they probably did back then.
That was 124.4. Sector 3 time is quick.
Sounds plausible for the lap time. This time of era of Formula 1. Concentration quite high to keep it away from the walls, the curbs. A bit slow then, some talking, but woo.
Sector 1 is 0.4 off your best.
So, has it got traction control? Pretty sure it did have.
Sector 2 is 2.1 off your best. Your front tyres are cold.
Easily lock up the transmission with a wrongly timed gear change, which feels like how it would do in H pattern rather than paddle shift.
You've just done a 126.1. You're currently 1.7 seconds slower than your best.
Good lap so far, I feel. Don't know how much quicker I could go on the standard settings. Oh, into the wall. Oh well, damaged. So here we go, FW14 around Adelaide. Definitely normally aspirated, non-turbo. The best time for F1 in my opinion anyway. Lots of power there. It brings back lots of happy memories regarding F1. I mean, that's a V10. Pretty sure the Renault was a V10 back then. Even when they're not going quick, they sound quick. So let's slow it down a little bit. So I've just slowed the replay down so you can hear me if you want to hear me. So as you can see, this is the Nigel Mansell liveried car. The bump on that first bend on the chicane always catches me out. So upsets the sort of the point of where you want to turn in. The car's bouncing around. But yeah, a great era of F1. This track was fantastic, not only for F1 but for Australian touring cars in those days. Fantastic. In fact, anything that raced around this track was spectacular because of the just the design of the track. The sort of the way you had to drive it quickly means attacking these curbs, which tend to sort of launch the cars a bit, but not so much so where it would become a contentious situation like nowadays where they try and flatten curbs and things. Times moved on. Cars nowadays, all formulas, I guess, from this sort of era, 92 to sort of now, they are quicker now. So, but it doesn't matter. It's not always about the pure speed. These cars, these V10s, and this era of F1 was probably the best era, in my opinion, for people that are around similar age. But anyway, fantastic looking modelling for the car from ASR. I will put a link in the description. I think this is. I'm not sure where I got this track from. I don't. It doesn't. It's not a standard Assetto Corsa track. I'm pretty sure it's an aftermarket track. It's got all the proper signage from 1988, so not a lot would have changed between 88 and 92. It was always like now the Australian sort of near the beginning of the season, where back in the day it was like the finale. I do remember getting up at silly o'clock in the morning to watch Formula 1 when it was the last one of the season. It was always a race I looked forward to. So yeah, so this particular model, Assetto Corsa ASR Formula for the FW14b, which is the 1992 Canon Williams powered by Renault, and this one's driven by Nigel Mansell. Red 5 Nigel Mansell, as he used to be called. I went wide here, so you can just watch. So I went wide coming in. We did lose it. We're probably not on the power so much, but we did. Yeah. A lot of damage where we couldn't continue. So there we have it. Fantastic. These particular era of Formula 1 in a sim world is my favourite type of sim racing. Assetto Corsa doesn't particularly have the best AI. There's ways around it if you're into that kind of fiddling around with AI lines and other bits and pieces within the game. It's very it's an old game, as I've said before, but it's very moddable if you're that way. I'm not, although I can do, and I have practiced changing the AI lines on certain tracks, but as a rule the AI in Assetto Corsa, the original Assetto Corsa, has never been particularly great. So the online feature of racing online via a third-party server, if you like, Assetto Corsa does work very well. I'm not sure that there's much around that can beat it. So you can set up your F1, historic F1, and go and race with your friends or a group of people, like-minded people. But for me personally, I just quite like doing a few hot laps, a bit of driving in the era of the car and the track, and comparing the cars that get released over time from ASR. So, like I say, we're going to sign off now. This is an FW14b around Adelaide from 88 in a 92 Williams Canon Renault. I hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you next time. Bye for now.